Welcome, 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 everyone, to another adventure into 2021 reality. I am joined by my intrepid, traveling, mystical co hosts, Martina GrubMueller.
I wish I would be traveling. I don't know which travel we're talking about, but thank you so much.
The astral you.
Yes. I'm so happy to be here. Grateful to be here again this year and looking forward to working with you, of course, Andrew, and with everyone else on the show.
Yes, we've put a close to 2020 and we look behind us as 2021 gives us all of this new information overload garbage. But today we are here to help you get out of information overload, to disconnect from all the sources of demanding you conform to their single point of view. Over the last many shows, Martina and I have given you ways to think differently, ways to perceive differently, ways to practice your spirituality, ways and tools and techniques to connect to your inner self, to learn what self-healing, self-nurturing, self-mastery means for you, the journey to self-illumination. We do these shows for you to take home, implement, and practice. And Martina, this last show we did, the shows we did last year, we've looked back at some of the transcripts and go, my God, we packed in so much information in 1 hour.
Yeah, we did. And having said that, this year is stepping it up even more. So I would actually like to say advanced self-mastery, advanced sovereignty, advanced, self-healing, looking at it from a different perspective. And, looking at it from a sacred, neutral perspective, very much like when we say, there's a choice, there's a right or wrong. Let's say there is no right or wrong this year at all. There's nothing right. There's nothing you can do wrong. There's nothing to fix. So what are you going to do from here now? How are you going to create from here, right?
I think that first state is to break down what you just said. There is no right or wrong. There is no pass or fail. There is no success or non-success. Allowing yourself to be who you are, what you are in the moment of now, as the ever-evolving definition of what you are, who's not attached to some form of outcome.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. As long as we're thinking in right or wrong, we're actually we're not able to go to the edge of unknowingness. We're not able to go even outside of imagination. I'd actually like to invite people in 21 to go beyond their imagination and realize that even their imagination is linked to a right or wrong.
And when you're linked to right or wrong, what are the limitations?
Well, you either have to agree or you have to resist, which does not allow you to be in the unlimited point of view, in the sacred neutral.
Okay. It also it makes conformity the easy choice.
Absolutely. And it will drag you into it. Okay. And it's so easy. And the realization, just over the last couple of days, what I've had this year, the old programming kicks back up. It does kick back up very easily. The difference now is, though, that you can see it. It's like, I see you. And as you do that, you actually get out of it much faster. And the learnings or the awareness, the next level of awareness kicks in so much faster.
And that journey to allowing the awareness to kick in faster is choice. It's something you and I, over many shows last year, reminded everything. It all comes down to choice. Every victim and victimizer, there's a choice and set of choice points to adhere. Choice, 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 choice. No matter how depressed you are, there is a choice to begin to turn it around and step by step, day by day, begin to transform the energies around you so it's no longer in a state of depression. All of that comes down to the exercise of the free will choice.
Exactly. And then when you start looking at that, so what else can I actually choose? You got to look at, so what's the opposite of right and wrong? What's the opposite of that? And that is pure awareness. So the question here would be, can you actually, in 21, Can you choose from pure awareness and not make anything significant? And what that requires, it requires that you get out of definition and that you really start acknowledging when you're getting attached to an outcome. And then don't judge yourself. Just say, okay, oh, that's interesting. That's the old programming trying to pull me in. And then you step out of it. There's nothing to fix. Don't try to fix it because it will pull you back right into it.
And that answers one of the questions from Rosa in the chat room. Can you stay part triggered and pure part awareness? No. As long as there's something triggering you, it's taking you out of awareness, putting charge and polarity, allowing conformity, and diluting your awareness in general.
Yeah. And having said that, don't blame yourself when you get triggered, because you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Because you get triggered no longer, you're not going to stay there. It's like sometimes the trigger is the new contrast, the new polarization. It's like trigger, okay, cool. What is that? And then you go straight into expanding your awareness by asking that question, or whichever way you use.
But there needs to be a joyous playfulness in the asking of the questions, and the serious stick that often drives people to use that stick to beat an awareness out of themselves. That does not work often at these newer, higher levels. You cannot beat an awareness into yourself.
No, because everything is available in that field of information, in that field of consciousness, in that field of awareness. Everything is available. So I said the other day, it's like trying not to step in a pile of poo, because the poo is everywhere. Yeah. You just have to really maneuver, not step into it. And what you do when you step into it, well, okay, you just take it off and then carry on moving, right?
Or you get a pooper scooper and you clean it all up, which is the greater inner work, taking the minefield out of your journey.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, absolutely. And the other thing, I think what's really coming through for me here is a lot of awareness that is coming from the unseen. So I think that, and having watched your show last week, is I've already seen that there's a lot of people starting to now work with the intangible realms much more.
And when they begin to work with the intangible realms, they speak back.
Exactly.
Equal to your level of what? Effort.
Yeah. So there's an additional teacher coming in now. You yourself in the intangible realms. And it's not just one of you yourselves. It's the many yous are stepping forward and say, hey, babe, let's do this together. And what better way of listening is during the dream time, right?
Or even in that lucid state as you're beginning to fall asleep and allowing the subconscious to unravel and give you images, thoughts, concepts in which you can begin a lucid exploration that allows you to go into a natural sleep that may trigger the dreaming body to go a little further.
Yeah. I've signed up on one of those 40-day Kundalini breathing challenges. And what I always do, I use the Kundalini breathing to actually journey at the same time. And this is a really cool way of doing it. When you get into that focused state of breathing and you're using your arms and you're doing all sorts of things, that is a brilliant way of not necessarily completely getting out of your head. You can do that too, but sometimes it's a great way of getting into a journey space.
And journey space is often misunderstood by new practitioners who think that they're far more advanced than they actually are, and old practitioners who don't actually practice anymore. Journey space is a sacred situation you put yourself in out of choice, not something you whimsically do out of repeating recreation. Far too often, people try to make journey recreation, and it should never be crossing that line, recreational journeying like that. What ends up happening is you don't have the tools, the techniques built inside you to deal with weird things that pop up. Oftentimes your adrenal glands will trigger simply because you're in the journey space and haven't indicated the adrenal gland to shut up.
Yeah. And the way around it a little bit, I think what I add to that when I do the journey, I always take my body with me. And I try to stay grounded along the journey path. So I'm always keeping it's almost like consider yourself as a tree. You know, you are the what you call the stem. You're not the branch.
The trunk.
You're the trunk, yes. And you travel up and down, up to the branches, down into the roots. But you are maintained, contained, supported. I don't want to use the word protection. If you want to use that. But that's what anchors you in. And you can be anchored wherever you are in that moment.
There's a lot of situations where there's a belief that they're protected, but that belief isn't enforced in daily, weekly, monthly practice. It becomes a background faith thing that begins to get challenged. And this is where scary images pop up, or different parts of the sympathetic or parasympathetic drive the lucid experience or the journey-based experience into something that's far more distracting than it is beneficial. And I bring this up because what Martina is describing, when you put yourself in that state without using the word protection, you don't indicate that you need protection, but at the same time, you know that the state you're using is sacred and honored enough that your other skill sets you do amplify and fortify that situation. Thus, why self-mastery is so important. When you learn the basics of self-mastery and confine yourself in the beginning of that journey experience, it's about solidifying your connection to the body so the body can be a part of the processing of the greater spiritual experience that is happening in that moment of now.
So it's almost like the body is your protection, if you want to look at it from that perspective, because your body is your instrument. And as you are taking your body with you, journeying has nothing to do with getting out of the body.
Once you're out of the body, you're still embodied.
Exactly. But having that understanding, as you do that in your journey. And, I've many times when I feel a bit, there's some energy that's a bit wacky or something, I know I'm in my body. My body works with me, not against me when I go on a journey, because that's the intention, that's the attention, that's the deal we have.
And the journey to make that deal was a lot of choice, a lot of practice, a lot of follow through, and a lot of mistakes on the way that remind me why I had to practice.
Absolutely. And it's a continuous journey at the same time. Right. It's never going to stop, but it's going to be the next level of it now. There's a next stage, and we will have to figure out and see what it looks like depending on what's coming at us, what we're dealing with.
Yeah, so a common theme last year, I talked about how empaths are at the lowest level of the psychic skill, and the psychic skill gets put up on steroids. They could hear the mouse fart next door. And it ends up ultimately driving you out of your body. Now, over this next coming year, you're going to hear this at a more advanced level. I am imploring and encouraging people, if you are one of those, I'm an empath, I have a red badge of fucking courage, I am only an empath, and that's all that I am, don't watch this fucking show. Okay? You become a zealot to a single thing that is the lowest level of the skill set. Work on intuition, work on clairvoyance, clairaudience, work on all the other skills that will give you a far more richer experience and won't kick you out of your body.
Yeah. In addition to that, also, there is a choice point now, which we all have to make in terms of environment. What type of environment do you put yourself in? What times of food, what times of drinks do you ingest? Really, really looking at the body is really your temple, and the body's working with you. And you got to really look at addictions, whatever that means to you, and find the need. What is the need that serves, when you are going through that process of addiction? What is it that you're lacking as
And Sean Bibby, a recovering empath, said he remembers the time a mouse farted and he left Earth. How easy it was to get kicked out of the body. And there's somebody else, I gave up. Mouses, in my experience, were just too much. That is the metaphor that many of the people that want to go to the next level, the mouse farting is the metaphor of how these little experiences can get blown up by this steroid-based experience that is not natural. It's created by an environment of narcissism.
And also, would you say that there is a misidentification a little bit between empath and martyr?
Yes, the misidentification is they don't realize they're become a martyr when they become that high level of an empath. And it's more denial than misidentification.
Okay. Because, I remember doing the shows last year, we talked about empath, and you obviously, driving that message back and thinking, oh my God, I'm an empath. I never considered myself that, but I was much more in tune with the martyr energy. But I realized that it's actually the same.
Right.
So
it's what allowed you to make the leap in understanding of there are mouse fartings everywhere, but I don't need to pay attention to them. And that's the martyr is using the steroid-based empath skill to blow things out of proportion that keep me out of my body.
Yeah. And this is why the not fixing is so important. The next level of that is now using your awareness to see that something is going to shit here. Something is not, you can see it. You can, you can
see the mouse getting ready to drop a turd. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. And what if you don't have anything to do with it? What if you can just actually, the next level here would be watching her doing it and compassionately enjoying it, or just moving on because,
Mm-hmm. So Love Path 101 it gets confusing, like you evolve, but you feel you have to hold on to all parts of you. What's the limiting and evoluting factor there? Do you have to really hold on to all parts? There are some parts that aren't going to evolve with you, right? And out of choice and self-experience and self-awareness, you cycle through the ones that no longer help you grow.
And there's a service you can actually do to those parts. You can either offer them healing by bringing them into the heart center and having a little chat or whatever way of healing you use, or you let them go because they still have like a hook, a cord or something connected. And by acknowledging them and allowing them, giving them permission to leave, they want to leave too. So that they can actually become a part in your Akash, or start a new because it's a part, an energetic, a part of you that is stuck. So unstuck it by allowing it to leave or heal it.
Exactly. Last year a common term was fire it. Don't give it a job no more. Don't give it any more payments to do what it's doing. Put it out on the street.
And guys, sometimes some of them just need a hug. Just need a hug.
Yes. Just need a hug.
Just need a hug, bit of forgiveness. It's okay. Get on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you, Rosa. She said she just freed the mouse. And all you others in there that got a mouse and you're waiting for it to fart, free your mouse. Okay? Free your mouse. Do you think it wants you sniffing? You waiting for it, psychically waiting for every time it farts? That mouse is gonna a little bit of overwhelming energy there.
So I remember when I watched your show yesterday or the other day on the Thursday show, you were saying that I think it was the first caller, and you guys were talking about the journey or bringing humanity back to the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And what if we can make this our yearly theme, bringing ourselves, humanity, get onto that journey back to the stars? What would that entail?
Good question. The journey to the stars is our innate birthright and legacy. The first part is acknowledging that I'm going to follow my birthright out of choice, and that the experiences that I get in the beginning, I don't need to attach to, I need to learn from. And when we learn from these experiences, the next time that we go to do it, we remind ourselves to not attach to the experience, to learn from it. So they become a database of experiences that allow greater pattern recognition to what the stars might have to offer to somebody new discovering their birthright.
So this is the initial form of self-mastery, self-healing, and sovereignty. That is the staple diet, which we've now practiced how to cook long enough. We know now.
That's the 40 grams of protein.
Exactly. That's now the question is, what can we add to that? Can we add a bit of sugar?
Variety is important in that 40 grams. So vital, because what are we doing when we have an experience? We're digesting it. We're getting fuel out of it, inspiration out of it, and we're not following toxic hope out of attachment. So that when we come back to the journey to the stars and beyond, wow, I have all this extra reserve that makes it far easier to get into the space, discover the journey, beyond the journey, experience the journey, and remind myself to not be attached. So the next time it gets easier and easier.
Yeah.
Within the micro experiences, there will be all sorts of influences, words, imageries that trigger us positively into a greater desire. And that greater desire needs to be tempered and yet to allow wildly flow free. And that's where choice in the tempering so I don't attach, but the wild experience of pure flow will come down to the person's inner qualities of, I'm ready for this experience, but I also know when it will overwhelm me.
Yeah. So that's almost the one leg, the finite leg, and then the microvolts. And then, of course, I think what's going to happen more and more now to us, that we're going to actually start downloading macrovolts quite a bit, the other side, the infinite leg. And I'd actually like to look at it from that perspective now. We used to work a lot with male and female, yin and yang and all that. What if we now start working in this year, finite, infinite, right? Simultaneous living. And now the question, talking about digestion, now how can we digest the macrovolts that are coming in? Because that is something that we are probably not so used to, but it still has to be digested.
We have a gut brain, and getting the head experience down the central nervous system and into our gut brain processing.
Yeah. So there's a little tip, what you can do when you breathe. You can inhale, you take from the tailbone, you take the breath all the way up into the brain, into the third eye if you want to. And then on the exhalation, you really visualize you're taking it down from the brain into the heart, down into the gut, and make it like an O shape or a circle, or if you want to put it into an infinite sign, and breathe up and down, and really start making that your daily practice.
So that skill becomes a part of the greater journeys that you do. Thus, why the basics are so fundamental.
Yeah.
So the other side of getting the gut brain involved means you are accepting innate intuition at a higher level. Because when the body is added to the experience and not a codependent with the experience, it's a co-creator in it, we allow the body's individuated purpose of being an instrument of experience. And that instrument of experience may be playing an A sharp note, but our brain's perceiving it as a B flat.
Absolutely. And it's also activating, we always talk about the 80-20. We're starting to activate the 20% of the body, So how the body is actually facilitating the macrovolts to come in.
Right. And then allowing the macrovolts to be processed by the gut brain.
Absolutely. And this is pretty much, could we say that this year is part of your celestial medium journey, where you're starting to play with that simultaneous living?
For those that have already done the journey of understanding the struggle of awareness and breaking of attachments and the stopping of conformity, yes. As you well know, the journey to celestial mediumship can be very easy and be very difficult at the same time. And ultimately going to determine your level of focus, enthusiastic effort that will get you on that closer journey. But if you're not one that's really doing the work, the celestial medium will be a very, very hard thing for you to understand without the cyclical practice behind it.
Yeah. But having said that, for the ones that are doing the journey, they're continuously, taking the responsibility, and they are committed to it. You can keep that as your ballpark. That's where, this is what you want. And then the question is, allow the how to happen through the consistent application of all the tools that, you have.
Right. The celestial medium is a state of beingness in awareness. And that state of beingness and awareness comes from the basics practiced. And then the basics practice with enthusiastic effort, the basics practice with enthusiastic effort, and then strategy.
Yeah. And it's
you're stacking all of those on top of each other.
Exactly. It's not something outside of yourself. It's also not a space or a place or a beingness that you become and then that's it. No, it's a continuous back and forth, back and forth.
Mm-hmm. And somebody was asked, how do you know when you're in it? If you have to ask that question, you're not in it. How do you know when you're in an orgasmic state?
Orgasmic state, being in the flow. It's like superluminal thinking, when everything just comes and it's
right.
like, it's
an
experience,
right? It's an experience.
Yeah. When things flow and again, I make the distinction, not easy. Yeah. We're talking about ease, just everything just happens, almost like magic. And you're in this place of wonder,
Mm-hmm. And there's a much more flowy energy to it. There's not questions that don't have attached answers to them, and there's no attachments in that space.
And of course, it's all fueled by trust. No doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Trust in spirit, trust in yourself, and a trust in your faith.
And letting go of those old things like fear of failure and all that bullshit, because that's going to take you right out of it.
Not only will it take you right out of it, it'll put you into a false sense of I'm still in the state of being, if you allow yourself to constantly be in that state with broken trust. And that's the issue with the celestial medium, is so many people have an arrogance factor them. I can jump right into the higher work without doing the lower work, which then puts them into false synchronicities and false sense of beingness and awareness.
Would you say almost that you're not going to get away with this year?
Yes, you are not getting away with it. Every time the mouse farts, it's going to kick you out of your body, and it's going to show you. And until you stop focusing on the mouse farting and getting kicked out of your body, this is the year that separates the wheat from the chaff.
And I must say, I've had many, I could give you 4 or 5 situations where I experienced that, and where the universe basically said, no, Schnuckel, you're not going to get away with this year, And then what happens is interesting, because you've got this openness. You don't go into conclusion and I'm wrong and I'm this. The dream time kicks in and you start having dreams, and again, that's a practice too, which are really often, the dreams of late have, whilst they are continuously in a weird symbolic way, they've always been almost answering and assisting me with the stuff that has gone wrong, if you want to call it that way.
And you're just in a different state of awareness where you can recognize this pattern. A pattern that's been there in many other patterns and forms, but this pattern matches the state that you're in.
And have mercy on yourself when you recognize the old pattern.
Exactly. And learning to forgive yourself. Every time the mouse tried to kick me out of the body, shit, I made a mistake. Well, now I'm going to forgive myself.
Have mercy with yourself and others. And often remind yourself too that, yes, we are innately all empathetic. We have an awareness. You are perceiving other people's stuff. You can actually perceive is a good word of using, so that you're not actually attaching it to yourself. How much of what you're actually thinking is yours is not yours. That's right. Coming more and more into this game here.
And as we get further and further to here, I'm going to give you guys a metaphor. Imagine a snow plow with its plow all the way down and 20 inches of snow on the ground. And if it doesn't stop and lift its plow up every now and then, it begins to put a lot of wear and tear on itself. Okay. And there are going to be many empaths who are going to have their plow to the ground and are going to burn their engines out. Okay. Because your nose is right in it.
Yep.
The driver of the plow is high above the plow. And we've got to be able to perceive the plow and the overexertion of force into reality that's like a riptide, that you can't go against the riptide. And sometimes you just got to stop the truck and stop the plow and let the tide take you where you're going to go.
Yeah. Now, let me offer another metaphor on this one, because I've just watched, I don't know if any of you has watched on Sky One, it's called Discovery of the Witches or something. And there's this one witch, she forgot her powers, and she's meeting other witches now to learn. And it was such a beautiful way of demonstrating, you know, to get her back, to help her get back. So she's surrounded by 4 witches, and they all give her like she's a weaver, so she's a weaver of spells, and every witch gives her one of her threads. One is the earth witch, one is the air, one is the water, and one is the fire, and she's in the middle, the ether one. And as she takes those threads, she puts them all together, and when she's finished, she just turns into this huge tree, branches up there, roots all the way down, and she becomes the entire tree, obviously with a trunk here. And that was so beautiful. So that's another gorgeous metaphor to look at. What if we could just keep on weaving, you know, from all the elements, from nature, and bring it all together, because our bodies are the instruments that are connecting the opposites.
And that journey to becoming the weaver is allowing the imagery to be a part of you. Learning how to create that weaver frequency inside you. Entering the chrysalis of life. Weaving those webs around you to allow personal metamorphosis.
Yeah, you could imagine yourself being like a spider, but lots of people have issues with spiders. So just be the tree. And tree, we've been working with the image of tree for forever. Now just really expand, again, advance your imagery along those lines. And because that tree, you're always that tree, you are that connection between earth and cosmos.
And understanding earth and cosmos are layered on top of each other. It's the uniworld we live in. And as we begin to experience the celestial medium, we get accesses to the other parts of the uniworld layered on top of each other.
Yes. And by keeping your reality fortified, by keeping your body strong, by keeping your complexity between mind, body, and soul together, you can transcend to every single level. You can transcend up, down, left, right, back, forth, all over the place. You have that fluidity, that flexibility.
And when you achieve that fluidity and flexibility state, there's the next level of choice, which is what I call macro choice. Now, I have not touched on this much. Macro choices, you're in the macro volts, and your choices are that much more influential into the greater you. Therefore, you must know the previous you who has a habit pattern of choosing the short or the easy answer, where instant gratification can no longer function. On my Facebook page, somebody the other day posted a cartoon image of a bunch of people that are at a race, and it's called the instant gratification race. They're all at the starter lines, and if you complete the race, you get your t-shirt. All right, the answer is go collect your t-shirt. You can't have instant gratification the easy way anymore. The easy way, when one is choosing the easy way every time, there is a part of your beingness that is diffusing the greater experience.
Well, look at it. If you go instant gratification, what does that do? It keeps you in limitation, right? Because you can never, it's almost like that saying, are you pecking with the chickens or are you flying with the eagle? Because the eagle doesn't shit what's happening down there without hierarchy and all of that. So that's instant gratification is a pure limitation.
And understanding the nature of how instant gratification can diffuse your greater choices when you're at macro choice points.
Because also it actually makes you matching others, right? Which takes you out of authentic individuality, which takes you away from what we're actually trying to achieve here. And at the same time, it takes you out of oneness, because oneness cannot be perceived and acknowledged without your individual understanding of who you are.
Who's choosing fulfillment and not instant gratification.
Exactly. It's that old thing about the puzzle, right? If everybody, you have to be that specific piece of the puzzle in order to fit into the whole big picture.
Exactly. So Lisa's asking, what is an example of instant gratification while on the macro volts? An entity says, hey, how you doing? And you jump right into the entity's frequency and go, tell me everything I want to know, without even any common, decency to learn who they are.
Absolutely. Another one would be like happened to me, wake up with that overwhelming sense that you have to do something. And you just like, okay, cool, I got to do this. Well, I didn't have to do it. Did I really have to do it? I didn't ask one single question. I went immediately into conclusion. I have to do this. That's instant gratification too. That's old Marta program. That's actually almost like the universe testing you through that macro volt thing. Are you ready? Are you actually ready? Or are you just reacting from the unseen? Because now this is the next level. Right?
So here's another example that layers right with what you're talking about. A lot of our audience members are hermits, but they want to have full galactic relations. What's wrong there?
They want to full galactic relations. Well, it's the same.
They want to talk to every collective and every alien that's out there, yet you're a hermit in this world.
It's very much the same. The intangible realms are the same as the tangible ones. Yeah, it's like you can't expect to be a hermit in this lifetime and then have the best relationships out there, because it takes the social skills, it takes the the getting yourself out there, the having the drive, the choices. It's the same thing. And you
exactly.
meet assholes in this reality, and you will certainly meet not so benevolent beings in the unseen
out there. Thus, if you're a hermit this lifetime right now would recognize that and want to have full level galactic communications, what are you telling the universe when you're saying I'm choosing to be a hermit and yet want to have full galactic relations? You're saying I'm not ready for macro volt choices.
Yeah. I think we can almost say to a certain extent the tangible and the intangible realms are a reflection to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing that comes to mind, when you talk about macro volts, actually, this is also setting that course. When you allow macro volts to interact with you and you're being discerning, from a heart space discernment, from an intuitive discernment, this is setting course towards the edge of unknowingness.
And that journey to the edge of the unknowingness is a extended journey of letting go of attachments, subtle influences, previous choice points of adherence, to allow yourself to be in this state where the unlimited point of view has no fear factor behind it.
Which also includes letting go of definitions, letting go of controls, letting go of these protecting, ideas from the wrong perspective and all of that. Because remind yourself, whatever you're trying to control is controlling you.
And remember what she just said. What's in control? Is it you? Or is it another you? Is it something else?
I saw somebody, I don't know who, I saw it on a show or somebody said, look at the word control. You got the troll in it, right? So which troll, who is the troll that's controlling you?
Exactly. Con, for, troll.
Yeah.
You're for the troll. Okay? So when you're trolling the universe, what's that telling the universe?
And can you ever really control anything, to be honest? You know, because what does that mean? You're attached to the outcome. You're in projection. You're in expectations. It's all of that shit that doesn't work with the self-healing, self-mastery.
In this microcosm and conceptual reality, we're saying exactly. But there are people in a much more limited state, the white picket fencer, that control is a way of life and absolutely works fine for them.
Yes.
But they're also not on the spiritual path. And it's because we are in an experiential based reality where our influence of choice makes a humongous difference of how much joy and effort we can get out of it. There are plenty of people living the white picket fence lifetime who are perfectly happy.
And that's absolutely fine. This is where compassion comes in. This is where it's got nothing to do with us, you know. It's got nothing to, it's not a personal thing. It is what it is, and it's part of that. And every single one that is on this planet now is amazing anyhow, whatever they're choosing, right? I mean, you got to bring that forward. And then if you want to take it to the next level, well, then yes, you go into the self-healing, self-mastery and all of that.
Right. And we can be as spiritual beings with the metaphorical white picket fence relationship with the intangible world. We just have to learn how to not control and imprint the intangible world to be something that it isn't.
And the main thing is for people who have an issue with that is to snap out of it and allow people to do whatever the hell they need to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love the people with white picket fences, and I love them. I have amazing conversations with them, you know, because one thing has nothing to do with the other. And there's a contribution flow going on, because think of the tree up and down.
See, most people in that positive white picket fence, they're not zealots or martyrs, which ultimately makes their unique experience unique for them. They've understood innately, if I'm a zealot or a martyr, I ruin my white picket fence experience, and I'm forever complaining. The fence needs to be painted. The bills aren't done. Somebody isn't doing this, or this. And when we allow the white picket fence to be a joyous state, there's no more need to be a zealot or a martyr.
Exactly. So there's a lot to be learned from white picket fences too. They are extremely effective in this reality. Extremely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're doers, they take action, you know, and I so often have to remind myself, like, oh my God, fantastic. What can I learn through that person, through that experience, what I'm seeing?
Okay. Well, it just so happens we live to be in a times where extreme polarities exist. The left and the right have become so far separated, they are reflections of each other. And being a centrist makes you the target now.
Being a centrist, I like that.
Makes you a target. It makes you the target because the polarities have gone so far apart. Now, recently we've had a massive purge of the social media engines from the the right-leaning conservative media that clearly was polarized much faster than the other side. And to the point where it was very difficult to have a common conversation, debate with somebody who was a pro-Q person. And if you didn't agree with everything that Q said at every moment, you were berated and shunned and zealoted and martyrized. Now the left is beginning to do that too. If you don't believe in everything we say, we are going to do the same thing the other side did, but just in a different way. And a lot of people are going to have to truly learn, when somebody shows you their zealot and martyr skin, recognize for what it is. Don't attach. Don't integrate with it. Why? Because they're there as a honey trap.
There's a honey trap, yeah. I think there's also, when you are a centrist, you know, I like that word. What also will happen eventually is that you might start feeling alone, a bit lonely, because people will actually, sometimes you don't even have to walk away. They will walk away from you because they can no longer harvest that energy. They can no longer feel like they are, you know, a friend of yours, because you're not responding the way you used to respond, and you become no longer interesting to them. And
or
that's a good thing.
manipulable.
Yes, and that's a good thing. That take that as a compliment instead of asking yourself what's wrong with that.
Right. Exactly. Process that. And when you're no longer manipulable to them, they move on to others.
They move on to others because, you no longer allow them to suck your energy, basically. Having said that, so I think one of the big things for me personally, what I'm seeing in 21 is a complete overhaul of relationship. How do you...
Exactly. An overhaul of relationships that allows you to have a firm understanding of who is zealot and martyr and who's truly trying to break the role of being a zealot and martyr and being into their own individuated self. And those are the type of people you want to have friendships and continue relationships with.
And that relationship obviously doesn't stop with the intimate relationship that you have with your partner. That's the one. And we innately relate to everything in the world. So there's going to be like a complete redefinition of how you relate to others
through a not a left or a right definition.
Exactly.
Or forced conformity.
Exactly. And it's gonna take practice, and if you realize, what I've realized is, if you realize that there is a certain incongruency and it's not working, or you get the wall because whatever you say is not being perceived, again, don't try to break through that wall. That's by far too much effort. You go around it, jump over it, or you just move on and go to someone or something that doesn't show you the wall. And your body is going to be with you in this journey. The body will tell you when the wall comes up in other people, because you won't be able to communicate, or you probably start feeling tension, intensities, pains, all sorts of things coming up.
And once you get overdone into a person's personality, you're over analyzing them and taking on some of their energy.
Taking on some of their energies. And of course, what else is happening here is the being present. Okay. I think this is the next level of advancement, to be present in your body, to being in the now, because there's always that invitation. If people are not present, who else is? We've talked about that before, and also it's just not fun. It's not fun to be with somebody who is not present.
Exactly. So in the coming weeks to come, these zealots are going to be going into super overdrive and martyring themselves on every sword that's around them. They're going to be looking to draw their own blood wherever they can and put people down a process of choose my way or you're my enemy. And this is happening here in the United States with what's going on between the two parties and the radicalization of the right and the left at such a heightened pace that they're only be giving the choices of make blood as the way to create a relationship, that their blood has to be given for this, when in fact there's so many other ways to get peace out of this situation.
Okay, so let's flip the frequency on that one. I think that's a good one, a term as well. Whenever you find that, how can I flip that frequency? And I think I remember, again, was it a show or something where you were talking about we need to find a new language for oneness. We need to have new experiences for oneness. Now that's a good topic, isn't it? What is the new language for experiences that brings home that oneness that we're actually seeking, right?
Exactly. And that journey into accepting oneness in its new forms is still an allowance in the inner level, but it's also understanding that the advanced zealots of this world, as soon as they're confronted by a person that's going to say oneness, they're going to reject them wholeheartedly and move on to someone that doesn't have that view. Therefore, people will naturally find their own new group to experience oneness with.
So what's a better word then? How can we use? I know oneness is a bit light workerish, isn't it? Maybe we
Mhm.
can find a different way of how else can we define oneness in order to trigger those experiences with much more
That,
ease.
that's why I really expanded on the peacekeeper, peacemaker as a state of being and awareness. Because peacekeeping and peacemaking represent a way of sharing many forms of oneness that share the common ideology of what peace can be.
See, this is a tough one because we have so little experience so little experience with what peace actually means to us. But this is a good question to ask. What does peace, freedom, oneness, allowance really mean to you? What does that actually look like?
Good question. I'm going to put that to the audience right now. What does it look like to you?
Yeah.
That greater journey.
Authenticity.
Softness. Yeah. Authenticity. Okay. It'll be something that many will have to ponder and really put that pondering state into.
It's got so many different faces, right? And think of peace. What is peace? It's the opposite of war. You could look at it from that perspective, right? The opposite of war. So wherever you're still going to war with yourself or others in this reality, that's something to look at and maybe let go of.
Right. War means you've given a space for battle, and taking the space away from a battle goes a long way at allowing peace to exist. So that means don't hold on to the charge and polarity for a future battle.
Yeah. And again, what comes up for me here is patriotism. Don't fall for that.
Right. And that journey out of patriotism is very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because that's part of what? Wanting to be like someone else, instant gratification. That's what comes in here again. Not being able to, it goes against authenticity. It goes against trusting your own intuition. It goes against being able to choose for yourself, right? It's always easier to do and not to do what somebody else is suggesting. And what if there is always a different choice?
Yes, I decided to go to a more comfortable position. The other chair just was not doing well for me. So I want to expand on patriotism, nationalism. It's what allows a lot of other isms to infect us. And patriot programming is long instilled. Like here we have to put our hand over heart and give an oath to the flag at the youngest of age. That's indoctrination. How does one unindoctrinate themselves from patriotism? It's because it's very important in mastering the peacekeeper and peacemaker.
Well, number one, what comes up for me here is looking at the definition of being loyal. Looking through the lie of what loyalty actually means, because I think patriotism and loyalty is very much like whoosh, in one energy.
And they're twins of each other.
Exactly. So where have we misidentified what loyal actually is? And can you be loyal to yourself and to somebody else at the same time?
Without an issue showing up that creates a friction. Patriotism doesn't allow dual loyalties. It's because patriotism is already a zealot process. To be a patriot, you've already entered the realm of zealotism.
And also, do you know what? It's an easy way out. It's an easy way out because
it's the instant gratification easy way.
Yeah, you just follow whatever others say, and you defend it and you fight for it, or you resist it. Either way, it's not working, because at the end of the day, you're not taking responsibility of what you actually want, right? It's by far too easy to get away with that.
So the left and the right, the right calls the left communists, and the left calls the right fascists. And forcing definition onto people with that's pure vile judgment at that highest level. And the Patriot programming innately allows radical judgment.
Absolutely. It's a judgment, it's a form of limitation, it's a cop-out.
Out of your greater choice to be you.
And in addition to that cop-out, you could obviously, flip the frequency there and say, look, it's like you don't even know what loyalty is because you're not loyal to yourself.
Exactly.
You're giving yourself up by going with somebody else's perspective here, in a way.
So Jamie has just said, how does one decolonize the multidimensional mind? Good question. We begin decolonization process by realizing to become a multidimensional being, you've got to seed a piece of yourself on the different levels. And the part that you're seeding is an individual sovereign aspect of yourself that is not separate, that is not part of the hierarchy, that's equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical, meaning what you're seeding there is a complete piece of the hologram of you. And understanding we seeded parts of ourselves at younger eras of our life where it wasn't a fully sovereign piece we put in that other space.
Is that also, getting to the acknowledgement of that everything outside of yourself is you, a reflection?
Yes, very much.
So this is again a big element for me. This emergence in this 21 is, it's so easy to say 21. Do you find that too? I find it so easy to say 21. I don't think I ever said 20. I didn't really like it. Anyway, it's I can't remember what I was saying.
Because
Anyway.
it wasn't that important.
Stop brabbling on. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Well, we're at a state, Martina. I think it's time to talk to our audience.
Yes.
So if you are listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch and want to be a caller that's going to be in the show, click the raise your hand button. And if you want to come and join the Zoom room, this is the only place that we choose callers. Robert has put up some information for how do you join the Zoom room, zoom.us. The meeting number is 911-001-1974, and the passcode is 457-500. Now, if you want to call in via the phone, there's information on the screen. Yes, and we have quite a few people who are on their phones right now calling in and able to listen in. You are able to raise your hand with your phone. You just have to listen to the information that's there. But we're going to encourage everyone that's a part of the Zoomer right now to go ahead and raise your hand if you want to have a conversation with us. And today is not about what is whiny I want a reading. This is about the conversation of today. So, Robert, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is first.
Okie, Carrie, keep it simple.
Carrie, keep it simple. Are you there? Carrie.
Got a signal to unmute, Carrie?
You got a signal to unmute, Carrie. Carrie, going once, going twice. And let's move on to the next.
I got on.
You made it. There we go. Right on the third try.
I kept hitting the unmute button and it wouldn't get me on, but I made it. Yay.
You made it. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
Florida. Welcome to the show. What did you think about today's show?
I love it. I always feel like when I listen to your shows, especially the ones with you and Martina, you guys are talking directly to me.
And what were we talking to you about today?
Well, I get a lot of, I actually have to share, since you guys started having, there was a show you guys did on Moxie, and I wanted to share a funny synchronicity about that. But right after I got off the show with you guys, I had watched a TV show that night on time travel. And the first sign, I'd never heard the word Moxie before. And the first sign when this guy entered the wormhole was a huge billboard that said Moxie.
Amazing. Yes.
So I've been dying to share that with you guys because it was so synchronistic, and I had to pause it. I screenshotted it. And then the whole rest of the night was down the wormhole synchronicity. And it's pretty much that way every time. But so, so today's show specifically, I feel like, first of all, the audience is really cool because everybody is just leaving the best comments. And a lot of us, I think, are triggered sometimes, and it is hard to stay neutral in that space. And I think it's recognizing, okay, who does this belong to? Am I being triggered right now? Is that me? Is that somebody else's? But for me, I get a lot of, I guess, downloads or, conversations I have with my higher aspect. And I just did, I do your revocations. I wouldn't say daily, but I do them quite frequently, several times a week. And they really do help with the sovereignty and kind of differentiating some of the information that's coming in that's what we could call the empathic information, and the stuff that is in the, collective versus what actually belongs to me. But I get information. My question, I guess, has to do with that as well, is some of the stuff I get is like quantum computing type information. And I am the last, obviously we're all quantum computers, but I do go into my left brain analytical, asking questions like, well, what is this about? And why am I receiving this information? And my question, I guess, would be, if I'm in a place of enjoyment when I'm receiving this information and I'm having fun with it, then am I being responsible in sharing that from that macro, I guess, level that you guys were talking about? Does that make sense?
Yes. Martina, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah. What is the question? Are you asking if you should share that information? Is that the question? Are you hesitant to share the information?
Yeah, it's not that. Some of it I do think, okay, I've got to figure out what this is before I share it. So from my perspective, I'm in a place of joy and expansion when I'm receiving it. So I feel like it's, a fun, informative, fairly neutral. When I say fairly neutral, I always question. But yeah, I guess, when do you, and this isn't just for me, because I'm sure other people that are listening also, connect in with their higher aspects. And so I'm sure there's other people who are connecting with their guides and connecting with their higher selves. And what would you tell everyone as far as creating that and sharing it with people, enjoying that creative process?
So I can give you from my personal experience, all my life I've been seeking to share my experience. And what I'm saying is, watch out who you're sharing it with. Use your awareness if that person can receive that information, because sharing is not caring. Because it's not caring for you if you're talking about information that you're receiving in a very enthusiastic manner to somebody who is actually slightly depressed and has no idea what you're talking about. You're actually hurting yourself. It becomes that backstabbing, because they will take that information, and on some level, either you can get hurt by purely them putting the wall up because they're not getting it, or they're actually using it against you, that they're gonna take it and just use it energetically against you. Like, what the hell is she talking about? I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, I think the question is more, it's less for people who are, I don't volunteer the information with somebody who isn't, do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm going, and I did used to do that before. I wanted to share it with my family and my friends. And yes, I totally understand what you're saying. Not everybody's ready to receive it. And in those moments, it doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do, to share it, because you're not in the same, vibration or same space. So with what you're talking about today, though, with everything going on, how would you best, all of us are in that space of creating, I guess. And so we're all creative we're holding this creative space. So my question becomes, as we're sharing all of this information that's coming in, how can we best?
Don't share everything. Be selfish with some of it.
Okay, that was what I was. Yes,
So
thank
I
you,
just want to
Martina.
make a general statement.
Yeah.
All too often, social media becomes instant gratification sharing. And a lot of people share stuff on their social media expressions that they never should be sharing. And as you're bearing your soul to an audience that usually doesn't give a crap.
Right.
And the social media is engineered in a way that you get dopamine releases out of the likes and the shares that come.
Right.
And it's engineered against you. So if you're having fun things come in, play with it in your brain space and your heart space. Get some extended journal writing about it. Savor it like a bite out of a perfect meal. Okay. And as it begins to refine and define and refine its definement, you'll get better ways to define what it is when the right time to share with the right audience members. Knowing your audience is important. Social media, you have zero knowing of your audience. You have no idea if that person's in a good space or a bad space. It just shows up on their wall, and you can get trolled instantly or you can get loved instantly. Okay? So savor it. That's my answer. In this now time of 2021, information regurgitators are going to get beat up.
Right. Now, what about when you have your beautiful writings? You're sharing that with this audience on Facebook and Martina. So all of and YouTube and everything else, you guys
have been refined long before they went up.
Right.
Long before they went up.
They've
like a lot of the writings that I put up, I did in 2012, 2013, 2011, 2014. So they've long been savored and long been learned from before I shared them publicly.
They weren't instant. And then you just shared them instantly to get the I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Martina.
I was just, because, there's lots of stuff that I have written years ago, which I have never shared. Yeah. And it's now I'm getting to actually looking at it again, add a few things and sharing them now. So remind yourself, there's often you're working in the future. Sometimes you're getting stuff, you're ahead of your time. And this is why it sometimes that doesn't get perceived well, so sometimes it's just a part that needs to nurture another part before it's ready. It's a bit like, don't take the cake out before it's truly done, right? That.
And when you're working with yourself that's ahead of a century ahead of the evolution of ideas, the only people that are going to understand are the people that are already a century ahead too, which means your audience has to be the century ahead audience.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to friends and family that you want to share your inner space with, but find that they're not in the space for that, then that's the universe telling you something. Not to necessarily go out and search for those that can, but to more refine it inwards.
You're saying it's a reflection of what's going on inside.
Yes. And that inner refinement is important.
Yeah. And darling, it's also an invitation. It's like, I initially also fell for this. I thought, I have to change my environment completely because people don't understand what I'm saying. And then I started realizing, no, it was an invitation to go within and to actually share the information with myself and be happy with that.
Well, and I think that goes too with the hermit, sometimes what you guys were talking about with the hermits, oftentimes from my perspective, what I've experienced is we shut down sometimes if we don't get that response from other people understanding what it is that we're sharing or talking about. And so that's something else you guys were referencing is that hermit. But I understand what you're saying is savoring it, but not necessarily having to shut down and keep it to yourself. There is, so by savoring it and developing it, those then will be reflected back to you. Somebody else will be drawn who is that century ahead or is in that vibrational frequency that can match and play
Exactly.
that field, right? Beautiful. Thank you guys, as always.
You're welcome.
I'm so enjoying everything that you've shared.
So question for you. What did you learn from us? The big things you learned from us in 2020, sorry.
In 2020?
Yeah.
For me, it was being in sacred neutral as much as possible. And I don't mean, just ignoring everything, but just who does that belong to? Also the quantum, listening to your shows, it's real time. That was my biggest, and also I learned about being in that space of what uncreation meant. I know that was one of the teachings that you guys did, and talking about the time travel. So I had this whole experience from listening to you guys of just being in real time and not falling, being in that space of complete, being an empath, setting up boundaries, having sovereignty. I mean, gosh, I could keep going. I could just list everything, but all of it being so connected. It's not like any of the one teachings, because when you guys are talking back and forth, it isn't just one teaching. There's so many layers. And for me, that was what I learned in 2020, was all the layers and tapping into the synchronicities and the creation and the sovereignty and what it means to quantumly entangle and not necessarily just be open to all of the energies, and to kind of then savor it, which you guys are taking it to a completely different level. But I mean, after the show, even when I listen to you guys, I will sit with it, and it has so much more unfoldment for me in conversation and driving in my car and working with other people. It's constantly unfolding. So I guess being present and allowing all of the teachings to kind of continue to, I don't know, unfold. That's what I learned.
Percolate into the coffee of you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and balance. I think balance has been huge. I love the fact that, you talk about, eat your protein and don't judge yourself because you had a glass of wine. Sometimes I think we take ourselves too seriously, myself included. And you guys have been so helpful in that playful quantum interaction.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.
You've been an awesome caller. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, Martina. Thank you.
Robert, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
All right, that was a great call. Mandy Olson, you're next. Signal tone.
Mandy, are you there?
Mute.
Hello, where are you calling from, Mandy?
Hi, I'm calling from Chico, California.
Chico, California. Welcome to the show. What do you think of our show today?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be on. And I was meditating, and then I woke up knowing today's Tuesday and I wanted to catch your show, and there you guys were live. So I'm so thankful to be chosen at this point. So, because so much is going on inside.
Well, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm just very thankful. I have found, it feels like I found my people, and you guys gave me a lot of peace of mind with Martina, and I teach yoga as well. And I love wellness, and, but I've been so distracted, I think, with helping others, and that I sometimes forget to just be, taking care of myself and focus on me. And I think you allow that to happen when you give us the information, the multitude of information.
So when you realize you're not giving to yourself, at what point do you accept it is a subconscious choice?
Well, I guess I become a subconscious choice when I can smile about it, when I can let it go.
Good way.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you're not giving to yourself?
This last year, since the beginning of the Rona, I have not worked out or kept my body strong as I could. I've just done, minimum, gentle, very gentle. More, I wanted to meditate more than anything. I just wanted to be still.
And was it successful for you?
It feels good, but I really want more strength now.
So you went for the feeling good situation. And what did that feeling good situation give to you?
Peace in
Okay.
my body, that aliveness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why wasn't exercise giving you peace?
It felt like it almost felt like I was getting ready for a battle or needing to fight for something.
And there was a hesitation and an emotion in your voice, which you quelled really fast when you said that.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Probably that I had been assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And that energy is still stuck in your field. It's okay to let it go.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's time. Yes. Yeah.
Right now, I just want you to listen to Martina and I give you some ideas at letting this energy go. This first part is accepting you can let it go through the art of forgiveness. The artist that is you is going to paint a picture of pure forgiveness today. And it
Okay,
starts with
I'm
picking up,
willing.
and it starts with picking up the artist's tools, creativity. Martina, you want to give her a little ideas here?
Yeah, I also want to add to that you've already started that process. You've already stopped the fight against that by allowing yourself to get the rest last year. What if that was already the beginning of your healing? Allowing yourself to almost don't do what you normally do. Because in order to change things, we have to start doing things that we don't normally do, right? We can't carry on doing the same thing. So just by you allowing yourself, and you probably did that, you judge yourself, yes, but what if your body already knew that was part number one, to let go, to stop the fighting. Now we've had forgiveness. We're bringing that in. Now, what is possible from here? As you just allow yourself to let go of those energies, and you can almost perceive them, they're floating out of you right now. It's like everything, when we tense up, and you are a teacher, you're a yoga teacher, you know what it's like. You do the Shavasana, which is the most important asana, if you wish, in a yoga session, because afterwards you're just releasing, relaxing, you're grounding yourself. Without that, the entire class and session that you've done is only half worth the effort. So how much more of that relaxation, forgiveness, non-judgment can you allow yourself to step into to really bring out the strength?
I feel like I feel like I'm ready to speak up. I feel my voice, I would like to have a stronger voice, and all that, because I do believe in all the things of our expansion and helping others. It's very amazing and wonderful to watch others sit in their stillness and breathe with their eyes closed. My heart feels so happy for that, and connecting to the breath and the earth and our higher self. And I thought I had let this go, but I guess I haven't. I think it's just maybe just by maybe a thread, but knowing that it's really now time to change and let this go. It all worked out. It's just been kind of magical and strange thing that happened. It definitely moved me into places I would have never thought I would be. Yeah. So
I want to share a little metaphor for you.
Okay.
When you got assaulted, the garden hose that was watering the seeds of doubt and hesitation was left on until a few days later you caught yourself collected, you turned the water hose off. And then there was a long drought, but the ground was watered very deep. The seeds of hesitation around had deep water in them. Mm-hmm. And now you must remember to pull out those seeds that have grown into weeds of doubt, and to understand you are going to have to put down some Roundup here, a metaphorical Roundup, because the habit pattern that has come through the violence at some level is an adrenal gland response to the broken faith that's still trying to heal itself.
Okay.
And that type of violence is not nurtured through more tension, through more working out, through doing more. You've got to flip that frequency and just really fall into that complete allowance of nurturing, of nourishing, and of just allowing yourself to understand or to recognize that your contribution comes through being, not doing. It's the energy that you contribute to the people in your class, be that now via Skype or Zoom or whatever. And please honor that as a yoga teacher, as any teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thankful for you guys. I cried when it was Laura Eisenhower and Andrew were on a program, and that's when I began. And I was like, so I needed to see my people because I've helped people my entire life, being intuitive and empathic and just seeing the beauty in things. In my lifetime, I've loved everyone my life, and I couldn't even help it. It was very strange to think how I love people, but not that I'm, hanging out or with them, but I see the oneness and feel that. And then, but the surrender the last year has been very good for me, I guess. But I will use, even though I'm not into Roundup, I will get some and utilize that.
The organic version of it.
It's
the metaphor. Okay. It's the metaphor of the Roundup, because the weed bed got watered deeply with your own self-doubt and hesitation and broken faith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And the journey of self-forgiveness is weeding the garden, pulls out the weeds. And then the adventuresome spirit's got to come back without restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The division of our country has been so, well, when we feel things like you say, the mouse farting, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it's like people, they don't realize isn't it going to be our unity that brings us back together? Or do we just unify within ourselves first?
You unify in yourselves first. And those that have experienced self-unity will naturally be attracted to each other by the laws of vibration and harmony.
Beautiful.
So the adventuresome
thank you guys. Thank you.
I got something for you. The adventuresome you. What is adventure for you like now?
I've had some very strange experiences with helping others. So I would love some beautiful adventures I like walking in the park and going hiking and being in the beautiful nature, Chico's beautiful park. So that's my favorite thing to do. And I used to go, and I haven't been doing it so much lately. But people have been drawn to me, and helping their awareness so much. Even down to this last year, the neighbors had an incident, but the children, their children, I don't think he believed in the dark and the light. He didn't get where he was playing in the dark. And then his children ended up being in compromised situations with these dark people and pedophilia and things that I could never even open my eyes to, because I knew it existed, but I didn't want to dive in and read about it. And so I think just helping, I've been a great help to others on a one-on-one level, which has been nice. But I sometimes people experience things and I know they're bringing it in on upon themselves, it feels like. And we're moving through the whole thing. Things are getting better. And I feel like I'm just becoming a part, but I would like to like cut the cords, I think, and be free of, not that I don't care and I really have compassion, but I got lost in that whole train of thought because that was so overwhelming. We really tried
Because
to call.
because you've been giving to others so much, the unique part of your own experience is foreign to you. And you're going to have to become the rebel adventurer. So the inner rebel that you're creating is so that you can experience not through the medium of helping others. Walks in the park, those are all the old way. They aren't going to give you the new rebel experience and adventure. So the metaphor that I'd like for you to take on, and it's just a metaphor. I want you to see yourself as one of those people returning in the 1960s and getting on a motorcycle, putting on a leather jacket, and riding for the joy of riding. You've got to return to that rebelling against the way you have forced yourself to have experiences through others. So you put yourself in your own situation to have your own experiences, because for every person that you have helped, they will return tenfold when you're ready to be the rebel adventurer for yourself.
I like that. I can do it.
And maybe this even means going and
I
getting
love to ride on a motorcycle.
Go get a motorcycle. They're cheap as hell right now. Okay.
Okay. Yes. That'd be good.
You can get the ones that have the two wheels in the front and the one wheel in the back. They're called Can-Am Spiders. Okay. Do it. You're in Chico. You should be able to ride.
All right.
Be able to ride every day of the year.
Scooter.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be good. I love the wind. Yeah,
not a scooter, an actual motorcycle. Okay.
Motorcycle. Okay.
Motorcycle. Yes.
Okay.
Get a leather jacket, put a patch on the back. Okay. Be the rebel adventurer. Okay.
Okay. Yes. All right.
All right, darling.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Lots of love. Thank you both.
Yeah, lots of love to you too. All right, Robert, let's spin up the wheel of colors and see who's next.
Yep, David Dole.
David Dole, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi, where are you calling from?
Hi, guys. From Germany.
Hi.
Germany, welcome to the show. What do you think of our callers today?
Awesome, awesome. Really nice. Lovely ladies.
Lovely. What have you learned from the show in general so far?
In general, same experience as the first caller. I started listening in 2020 and there was just so much. So life-changing, definitely. Big things.
Wonderful. So what did you, go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I have to say is I had the pleasure to talk to you like in October, and you gave me advice on diet, on the diet show.
Mm-hmm.
And
how did that turn out for you?
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Tell us what happened.
I get my 40 grams of protein.
And how did it change your life?
I don't stress about food so much anymore. I eat the things I like to eat. A whole lot of joy from that. And also I have energy to do my sports and really put on some muscle. So everything worked out. It's amazing. So grateful for that.
Wonderful. And all it took was a little confidence into the quality of foods that you were eating and understanding why 40 grams is 40 grams. It's what we need to learn to thrive on, not survive on. We can't be stuck in survival mode on 10 grams of protein a day.
Yeah, I was a fanatic for that, a zealot for that vegetarianism, veganism type stuff. I see that now.
Mm-hmm. And now you're
And
free.
also the Zapper, I did the whole parasite cleanse.
Mm-hmm. How did that help?
I mean, I often feel it's hard for me to feel inside myself, as I can't see the parasites with my eyes. I have to trust my gut. But I really think that because the whole thought train of cleansing myself and this, I believe there's a lot of truth to that. So I feel like it definitely helps. And I'm actually wearing the Zapper right now because it's so easy. Just strap it on.
Yes, the Holder Clark Zapper, for people that was wondering. He's on the Holder Clark parasite cleanse and has the Zapper. It's a little device that puts electrical charge into your skin that you hold over your stomach area. And what that does is cause the parasites to constantly be in an active state, and it kills them off faster.
That's very cool.
So what else did you want to talk about?
Actually, I just really wanted to say thank you. One thing that, I mean, I got a lot of things I like to talk about, but I don't want to get in a whiny state. Why haven't I done this or that yet?
Good dad.
I know I got to put in the work. So I'm on my way for that. I'm a little bit curious about the psychedelics, actually, because I think they're very powerful. And at a time I was like thinking only one way, yeah, they're going to change the world. It's all good. By now I have a few experiences under my belt, and I see that it's not like the cure all, but I'm still interested in how much can they help us on our journey? Where are the dangers? If you have any opinions on it.
Well, first thing first, the dangers are if you're an ungrounded, unfocused, undisciplined person, they will generally do damage to you, depending on the type of psychedelic that you're using. Now, my personal view is that everyone, once in their lifetime, when they are in a positive state, should try a psychedelic, simply so they have a frame of reference of what the psychedelic state is, so they don't misidentify psychedelic states that naturally come on because we are producing our own THC and DMT in our own bodies at any given point. All of the stuff that are in psychedelics, our bodies naturally produce. Okay?
Yes,
And
that's actually.
And
my
right, when we're having mystical experiences, the psychedelic states are naturally occurring within our own bloodstream.
Okay.
So everyone should. That doesn't mean they should at any given moment. It has to be the right moment. Then there are other people who have ongoing mental instability issues. They should almost never be doing psychedelics because it will only create the schism further. They need to ground. They need to learn balancing. They need to learn prayer. They need to master the foundations and basics.
Yes. See that. I also feel that over the course of my experiences, I am able to have like psychedelic experiences without taking psychedelics. I can
just by breathing, you
look
can.
at a tree and feel like, oh, it's the same thing. I feel it.
Just about every psychedelic state can be recreated through the Wim Hof breathing.
Yes, I do that. The Wim Hof breathing is.
Yeah. You can fully enter the fully psychic journey experience state just by breathing.
Yes, true.
It's your birthright as a breathing species.
Yes. Okay, that's cool.
You're a part of the 40 gram club.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes
I often
do more now, even because I like to do sports and stuff. That's not a issue, isn't it?
No, you could go up to, if you really want to train the body, you could go up to 100 grams of protein a day.
Okay, nice.
You remember the Olympic athlete Michael Phelps?
Yes.
So he had between 300 and 400 grams of protein a day on a 12,000 calorie a day diet.
Okay.
Okay.
I think,
But he was also swimming and diving and doing a lot and
Yeah.
burning the majority of those calories. And the rest of the calories left over went to instant muscle creation. Okay.
Okay.
What kind of sports are you doing?
Every day I start by just walking a little bit, and then if I feel like it, I do some running, some jogging.
Okay.
That's like the baseline. Then I do skateboarding.
Okay.
And just like muscle building, like with some weights, some pull-ups, and this sort of stuff. Parkour, a lot of stuff.
So what you can do is when you start your jogging, get a backpack that has like 15 or 18 pounds of weight in it. So you're jogging with weight on your body, additional weight.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, but I feel like right now I'm at a point where my joints and stuff, I do everything kind of like not so rigid, because I feel like my body is still
recovering.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, 15 pounds of weight is not a lot. That's a backpack with some books and a computer in it.
Okay, yeah.
What's the whole point? You're burning a little bit more calories with 15 pounds of weight on your back.
Okay.
Oh. I know triathletes that do it with 40 pounds of weight on their back. Everywhere they run at top speed, because when they run without the backpack, they're even faster.
Yeah. Son Goku did the same thing for every Dragon Ball Z friend.
Yeah. And that may be something for you to look in as triathlism, which is running, biking, and swimming.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Okay. And then you could get yourself on a 100 gram a day protein, 4,000, 5,000 calories. Okay. And then the chi will flow even stronger through you.
Nice.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Thank you.
Cheers, bye.
All right, Martina, this is going to be an end to our first show of the year. And a special show. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Exactly. Just to get the what's it called? Get everyone ready for what is yet to come, right?
That's right. A whole lot of confusion, a whole lot of charge and polarity that we can't remain attached to.
Exactly. Going in with a vengeance.
And no attachment to the vengeance.
Absolutely. Choosing.
Exactly. All right, Martina, why don't you give way for people to get a hold of you?
Synchholistic.co.uk is my website. So you can get me on that one. I'm on Facebook. You can find me there. I'm on most of the social media. Just check on my Martina GrubMueller or the Synchholistic.
And you all know who I am. I'm Andrew Bartzis. You can go to my webpage, andrewbartzis.com. You go to my Facebook, YouTube page also to get all the different videos. We ask that you hit the like and share button on all these videos so that as the year progresses, we increase our audience size and the learned become illuminated. All right, Robert, take us away.
Bye.
Each different bubble of reality is true. A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma. Nudge, nudge, it's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.